Hello and welcome, or welcome back. Specifically today, we'll be working with Tarot's water suit of cups and correlating them to the water signs in the zodiac. In the last video, we started learning about the court cards of tarot, and we learned that they have rankings within the tarot, and that they also provide specific energies to the tarot. And very importantly, court cards have no gender. They are completely genderless, whether they're depicted as female or male. What they bring to the tarot is specific energy. The pages are youngsters, the knights are teenagers, queens are an inward adult energy, and the kings provide an outward adult energy. So if you missed that video, I have a link down here in the description and you can catch up. Also, if you're new to my channel, thank you. There is a link in the description of the playlist, Let's Talk Tarot. And that playlist will take you to the videos that I've created with tarot history and the meanings of the tarot cards from ace through 10. So you can catch that down there. So as we talk about the zodiac signs and relating them to the tarot, I think it's kind of important to just kind of talk a little bit about astrology right here. And, you know, astrology is based on the belief that the position of the sun and the moon and the planets at the exact time of your birth, they actually can influence our personality traits and maybe even our destinies. So one of the fundamental concepts of the zodiac is the birth chart or the natal chart, same thing. And that chart is a snapshot of the sky at the exact time of your birth. I'll stay focused on tarot here, but if you're really interested in learning more about astrology, I'll give you a really good tip. There's a great intuitive, his name is Chris Reck at Minnow Pond Tarot. Now he has a newsletter called Winning Pond, and his 25th of July newsletter, he has a link in that letter that takes you to a YouTube video, and in that video it's 3 minutes and he'll show you exactly where to go and how to get your natal chart. You'll need a couple things: the date of your birth, the time of your birth, and where you were located on the planet at your birth. Okay, so check that out. Shout out to Chris Reck, he's amazing. When we use a person's astrological sign along with the information about the energy that tarot is showing us, it gives us some really powerful clues into that person, into their situation, and it can help us see opportunities, even solutions that our querent may not be able to see. So it's just really great added information. And when we're correlating astrology to tarot, it really brings in the Major Arcana as well. And you're going to see as we go through here. So we're focusing on the water signs here and their tarot correspondences. We'll begin with the sign of Cancer. That sign reigns from June 21st through July 22nd. It's really typically called the nurturer, Cancer, the nurturer. And this is a cardinal water sign. It embodies nurturing. Typically, Cancers have very clear intuition and are very, very emotional. In fact, they have a real emotional depth to themselves. Cancers tend to like personal relationships. They really care about others, and their personal home and their family are very, very important to them. And when we correlate Cancer to the Tarot's Major Arcana, the card of the Chariot represents the Cancer sign. And when we look at this card, it's number 7 in the Major Arcana. And we see here the charioteer, he's got 2 sphinxes in front of him, and he himself is under a canopy of stars. You can see the moon on each of his shoulders, and the sign of Cancer is represented by the crab. And look at this card. You'll see that the charioteer has a breastplate, and you know that crabs have their hard shells as well. Very much private, working through their own energy with themselves and very much in touch with their own will. So the chariot can represent, it does represent the sign of Cancer within the tarot, and it can represent how we focus and harness our own will, how we harness our discipline, and how we move ourselves forward during challenges. All about moving forward during challenges. And a lot of tarot cards of the Chariot, they might show horses or lions and they're running forward. But the truth is, it's not so much moving forward in a speedy way. It's about moving forward in an energetic, personal way. So this is a card of personal power and moving on, seeking better and deeper relationship with self and with others. And there's a whole lot more that we'll say about this when we get into the Major Arcana. But this card in the tarot represents Cancer, the sign of Cancer. And listen, as I'm saying things like this card represents this in the tarot, keep in mind that our intuition is leading us forward as we're reading for others. And when you read intuitive tarot, that same card, it can depict that typically, traditionally, or it can depict something else for you. So you really learning to trust your own intuition and hone your intuition will help you be a better reader. What I'd like to convey is that although there is a method to the tarot and there's the specific meanings, as an intuitive, when something continues to ring true for you, pay attention to what you notice, because that could be something different with your intuition. So don't discount your own feelings, but it's really important to learn what these cards mean and how they correlate to other cards as you're moving through your tarot journey. And again, trust your own intuition. Now we move on to Scorpio. And Scorpio reigns from October 23rd through November 21st. This is a fixed water sign. And Scorpios carry a lot of passion and intensity, and they have a transformative energy. Oftentimes the Scorpio is depicted by a Scorpio, and it's also can be depicted as the Phoenix rising. So a very transformative sign, very much into mystery, always wanting to dig a little deeper and find out what's underneath, what's the cause of something. Scorpios have been identified as the investigators of the Zodiac. The card in the Major Arcana of Tarot that represents the Scorpio sign is the card of Death. And this card depicts death and rebirth. And it actually really speaks to the truth that with death comes a new beginning. With endings, a new opportunity. And in this card, which we'll talk a lot more about when we get into the Major Arcana specifically, but in this card, death is walking through, causing endings, and you see some dead corpses. You see a young woman maybe looking away. She doesn't want to face that death is a real thing. And maybe that's a bishop or a priest there that almost looks to death like in acceptance, because it is part of life. And one thing I love about this card is that you see that sun between the pillars. That sun is always ascending, continually ascending. So the compost and the death and the ickiness, there will always be something that sprouts out of it. So the death card reminds us of that. And so does Scorpio, because they can transform themselves. They have a very transformative energy. And we were talking about using your intuition, and if you learn something or read something about tarot and it doesn't ring true for you, it's okay to trust your intuition. Now, the Queen of Cups typically is an identifier for Cancer. And remember, it's genderless, so it doesn't matter if it's a male or a female. It's all about an inward, mature adult who radiates their knowing from within outward, leading by example. And this typically is said to be representing a Cancer. And some of us see this as Scorpio. So trust what comes to you. Learn to trust yourself. All right, let's move on to Pisces. And Pisces, they reign from February 19th through March 20th. Now, this is a mutable water sign, and it signifies empathy and they're the dreamer of the zodiac, and they're very intuitive, they're very creative, they're very caring, and they are represented by the Major Arcana's moon card. And the moon is all about the ebb and flow of our emotions, being very much in touch with how we move emotionally, how we move through our worlds emotionally and through our relationships emotionally, and the exploration of the unconscious mind. So this card is just beautiful. When you see those animals, one is a dog, one is a wolf, to me that kind of represents our domesticated side and our wild side, and always trying to find the balance within. And the crawdad coming out of the water kind of represents there could always be so much unknown in the deep end. So there's a whole lot more to say about this. Also notice the two pillars with the full moon. Well, you see the moon in 3 phases. And remember, there was a pillar in the death card with the sun coming up. So we've got some pillars here, and we'll talk more about those meanings when we get into the Major Arcana specifically. So Pisceans, they really have a deep connection to spirituality. They very much want to explore the spiritual meaning of their lives and things that are going on around them. And they typically express themselves through creativity and artistry. So in the next video, we're going to continue, and we'll be working with our fire signs and the fire elements, the fire suit, the wands. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. Please leave comments below. I will respond to all of your comments. If you have questions, I really appreciate it. Please subscribe, like, and share, and I will see you in our next video.